It is our absolute pleasure to be here at the Harman Experience Center at the Harman campus in beautiful Northridge, California. We're here with David Glaubke, who is head of communications for Harman Pro. Hey, man.
Hey,
last time we saw you was the first tour.
I know, and we spent about 3 hours walking through the facility. That was something else.
And this facility, for those who are paying attention, is absolutely amazing. What an interesting time. We've got NAMM coming. We're coming out of COVID. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, listen, Harman was undaunted during that period of time, and we remained very, very active on the R&D standpoint, and we had a very ambitious product launch schedule that went in not only the beginning of COVID, but even all the way through until this NAMM. So we in fact we've probably been more active on the launch schedule in the last 2 years than we've had any other 2-year period in Harman Pro history.
That's kind of what we saw. We saw all this growth during it, and we turned it into an opportunity to move the ball forward. Just you take what circumstance you have and try to do something with it. But we've seen it with some of our sponsors as well too, like you guys or Sweetwater and others, where there was this growth of the bedroom producers and so on and so forth. Is that what you guys experienced?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we for example, if you take the AKG Lyra USB microphone, we were in development with that before there was a pandemic. So there was some coincidence there in terms of we launched that right at the beginning of COVID, and wouldn't you know it, that became a very, very popular item because, as we all well know, everybody was, and you got one too? Okay, fantastic.
I used mine on the show.
Yeah, same here.
Well, what happened was that everybody started looking and realizing that they had to be content creators at home. Yeah. Not only just content creators, but we all started becoming, going on to Zoom and WebEx and Microsoft Teams, and people wanted to enhance the experience at home. And they were doing that with a small LED light, with a microphone. Yeah. They were buying headphones so they could hear really well. So they were trying to elevate their experience at home, and that was a trend that still kind of grows today.
And those product lines with NAMM here upon us now, we're coming up out of COVID and potentially getting together again. The fact that we're sitting together is like, this is new, and But in seeing it as opportunity, you guys took your R&D and were working on products that actually ended up fitting what happened with COVID. So home producers, content creators, and so on and so forth, moving forward through NAMM, are those the product lines, or is there additional things that are coming out?
Well, I would say if there's sort of a theme to what we're doing at NAMM that coincides with the products that we're releasing, would be certainly content creation and portability. Yeah. And so one thing that we saw coming out of and during COVID, where performers were at home, but they still wanted to perform. So they couldn't go out to the clubs, they couldn't go on tour. You found, I saw a lot of social media where people were literally setting up on their front yards and playing through a portable product, for the sound support. And so our product development wasn't necessarily an answer to the pandemic. Our product line was more focused towards, we have a lot of these legacy family portable PAs, whether it be the Eons or the PRX or IRX. And so what we've said is that it's time to refresh those brands, pull in the DSP, pull in a lot of the technology that we've been working with over the years, incorporate battery power, better batteries, so people can jam for 8 hours without having to do that. So I think that as we come out of COVID, certainly there are going to be a lot of artists who are going to be going to the venues, but there's some who figure, hey, I still have really great sound support, really great output with these products, and I can still go perform without being sort of beholden to being inside a venue.
Right.
What I noticed was a really good, healthy cross-section of headphones that didn't exist before 2020. It was like, all of a sudden, everybody discovered the headphone again, And I actually got pair of headphones too.
With it, yeah. With a headphone, it's always reiterating and finding a better way to accommodate for, and our core customer certainly being on the pro side, the studio environment, and how through the Harman curve that we can be producing these headphones that also layer on that level of comfort, right? Nobody wants to sit and mix for 12 hours straight and have ear fatigue, and they want to be able to hear the mixes exactly how they want it. And so I think that as we look back on the 70 plus years of AKG technology on the headphone side, how are we constantly perfecting it? With the raw materials and with the frequency response within the headphones. So yeah, they're getting better.
Is the one of the things about the microphones, because I use them for the show, we both do, is the flexibility. I can record vocals and I can do a podcast. Yeah. Like it has that kind of built-in flexibility, because the podcasting space as content creators, we kind of put it under the music rubric because it uses some of the same tools. You need amplification, you need microphones, you need to, make sure audio is good and all that kind of stuff. And because that's what we do for a living, we don't necessarily disconnect them. And I've noticed in the tour around here, there's a podcasting section that literally you can plug and play, put in your home, and you're up and running, correct?
Yeah.
It's just amazing that the technology is allowing for such different kind of usage without a whole lot of futzing. That's what's so great about Harman Pro stuff. Get it, plug it in, figure it out, press a button or two, and you're up and going with really high quality stuff. Is that part of what the consumer has to have these days?
Yeah,
and the pro has to have?
I think people who were looking to get into pro gear were quite intimidated. Right, there's there's the mixers and the mics and the headphones and there's this and that, and not only that it could be cost prohibitive. Like I want pro quality tools, but I can't spend the money that a large recording studio would put into it. So how do we as an organization look at that market and say, listen, JBL has been around for 75 years. Our legacy goes back even further than that. How do we look at those things that were usually only afforded by the professionals and use that same technology, change the form factor, and bring the form factor down into a manageable kind of way, but still keep the pro sound? And then all that unlocks a lot of possibilities. The old days, if you wanted to record, your band, you'd have to go, hit your parents up for a couple grand because you needed the studio space, you need the engineer to do that for you. And as we all know, that not only is that not necessary anymore, but you're arguably getting some of the same quality that you would have gotten, 20 years ago in a studio.
How much in the R&D do you guys incorporate the pro class? Are you talking to people? Do you getting input back? Is there a set of people that are kind of people that bring information back to you and say, here are the problems that need to be solved currently. Here's what we should be addressing. How does that process work?
Yeah, I think, the process is that we're in constant communication with consumers.
Gotcha.
And it could be anywhere from the head of audio for a recording studio that is responsible for the inventory. It could be a young person who they just want to wake up and record some tracks onto their computer because they're starting to experiment and dabble in audio recording. And so, a lot of it has to do with how do we set price points that make that affordable, because JBL and AKG and all our other brands, we want to be a brand that's going to take them through every phase of their professional, amateur life. The idea is that cradle to grave. Somebody might get a little Eon 1 compact because it's giving them a little sound. It sounds really great, but that person might sell out stadiums someday.
That's right.
And they want on their rider, I want the JBL VTX series.
Right.
Because I grew up with JBL. I believe in its quality, its reliability. I know that they're always iterating for the future. And that's how I want my sound represented to an audience.
Well said, well said.
It's exciting to think as we're now right on top of NAMM that we've had conversations with Joe Lamond, and he was saying that even though NAMM will be slightly different just because of size and the time it's being run, that there's no lack of iteration of new product, that people are feeling optimistic about the marketplace in the future, that it's going to be an exciting place to see things. It sounds like you guys are right on the edge of that. Well, I got to tell you, we are involved with each other from a business standpoint. We often judge product by the product itself and the people behind it. And the people at Harman Pro could not be better, more passionate, on top of their game. We really like this relationship, and we like, I have a pair of 708, I live in an apartment, and I have a pair of, I think, 708Ps or something, and I literally disturb everybody in a large building.
As well, you should.
and I just love it. Like, when they call and go, we complain, I'm like, yes, because they are just incredible. Headphones are incredible. I got a boom box for doing a piece, and Bluetooth to put it on my balcony so I could watch NBA Pro Ball from my balcony, and it's just like I've got a full sound system in a box out there. It's just really incredible.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We are a passionate group of people, and going back to NAMM and what Joe had to say, I think is spot on. I think, being in this particular time of year, which is unusual for NAMM, that I think it gave manufacturers a little extra time to come to market with the things that they really wanted to come to market. For those who did have some difficulties during the pandemic, that they had that little extra time to come to market, and I think that lifts the whole industry up when you can kind of go and have a very representative show for what's current, and having that little extra time is fantastic. And also we're looking at NAMM as a great place not only to connect with the customer, but also for content creation.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the things that we're doing from Harman, because we like to throughout the year educate and inform, and NAMM offers us one of the best times of the year to go create that content that's going to be lasting throughout the whole rest of the year.
Absolutely.
And because that's where people congregate, that's where people are talking, and for that standpoint, NAMM is particularly special. And another interesting point, if I might add about NAMM, this is going to be the 120th year of NAMM, and so what we're doing with NAMM also is we're celebrating 120 years of media coverage of NAMM. Because when you spool back to the first day, I think it was in a YMCA in Baltimore when there was piano manufacturers in the early days of Chicago and New York, the rest of the world and the rest of the country relied on the media to be able to tell the stories that are going on, to spread the word about what's new and what's innovative. Sure, that goes through sales forces as well, but really it's the media that really propagated that information. And as you look at the 120 years of, a lot of greats come through and to tell that story, both present and long ago, that I think it's an opportunity to really to celebrate the work that you two gentlemen do in terms of really, speaking, the truth to what's going on in the industry. So we also partnered with NAMM with their media center.
Nice.
And so we looked at the experience that media has at trade shows, and sometimes it serves people's purpose, but media is capturing content in new ways, and we wanted to help NAMM develop an environment where people have access to some pro tools to be able to do their job and elevate their work at NAMM in a way that they haven't before. And so we're hoping that really catches fire, and that year after year NAMM and hopefully through the relationship with JBL and AKG, that we can really elevate that storytelling that comes out of the media, and so it's pretty special for us to be able to do that.
I got to tell you, the audience, the folks that are watching, get by that installation that they are doing with NAMM. It's incredible. Come see us at 5 o'clock each evening in the Hall B up on the 4th floor. We're gonna have 1,000 people there, and we call it Pensado Palooza. We're giving away about $25,000 worth of gear each day. A lot of it's going to be
not to one person, right?
Well, it depends.
Oh, really?
If only one person shows up, they're the winner.
I might stand in line.
There you go. We're going to have some great panelists, and this is why we are partnered with Harman. Their commitment to the process, they're passionate about the game, the content is great. We're lucky enough to experience it. You're meeting the people, and that's why it's also so great to be with you. He's David Glaubke, Head of Communications for Harman Pro. You know him, the Master Blaster, Dave Pensado, and I'm just some dude named Herb, and it's great to be with you. See you guys.